everybody, welcome back. I wanted to give you some information that I found out today that makes me very happy. I was in the MAC store and I was speaking to one of the girls and they told me that they redesigned some of their palettes. So I wanted to show it to you guys. You guys know what the old MAC palettes look like. They were all plastic. The larger palettes did not have the clear top. It was just a solid black palette. And they had the individual pan, the accessibility for the individual pans to be inserted inside. Now they've redesigned, so now the MAC palettes are more like the Z palette. I just wanted to let you guys know about it and give you my opinion. Okay, first of all, I have a Z palette here and I have a MAC palette. This is more like a glassy palette and this is more like a hard case, when this is more like, I don't know, it has that softer feel to it. This is the large Pro palette. These are my my INGLOT shadows. These are the INGLOT shadows that I have in here. Instead of buying these are the Freedom System shadows. I didn't want to buy the INGLOT palette because it was too expensive. So I had the Z palette from IMAX. So everybody knows how the Z palette works. You could fold the top behind so then when you're working with a client, you just have it open like this and you just, you know, dip into your shadows. This is really great, especially when you don't want to have a million individual eyeshadows scattered throughout your collection. The MAC palette, these are all my MAC shadows. I don't really have a ton of them. Actually, let me open it for you. You'll see that I hit pan in a bunch of them. my Omega and my Blanc type are my two most used shadows and they are taking a beating. Right off the bat, I'll tell you this. I do like the way the MAC palette looks better than the Z palette. I like the way the open glass goes all the way to the edge as opposed to the Z palette where the front is a little thicker and it hides a little bit more to the edge of the shadow. Here, I'll show you. If I put one of the shadows to the edge, and then I close it, see how it kind of cuts it off a little bit? Not a lot, but it does. The MAC palette you can actually see directly to the, you can see all the way to the edge of the palette. See, this is all the way at the edge of the palette and you can see all the way to the edge. So I do like that better. One thing that I like about the Z palette absolutely better is this MAC palette. This is as far as it opens. See, this top does not fold around. So if I'm using this on a client, I'm going to be holding it this way. I'm going to have to hold the top and then blot in here. I'm going to hold the top and then blot in here. I can't just fold it around. Where the Z palette, you can fold it all the way around and you could just hold it like a palette. You know, just like a painting palette, which I think is much better. It's a much better design. A couple little things that I want to talk about as well. The shadows that I buy in the pan, the refill shadows from MAC, like this is Brun, I think. Yeah, Brun. Those don't really magnetize into the Z palette well. I don't know what it is, but when you, let me show you what I'm talking about. When I take Brun and I put it in my Z palette, see how it kind of just, like it's so easily just, it slides around and it barely sticks. You see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It falls right out of my Z palette, which is extremely, extremely inconvenient for me. So in the MAC palette, of course, MAC's gonna work with their own, and then they don't move once they're in the MAC palette. You know, they don't just slide around. You have to, you know, you have to really push them. They don't just freely slide around where they barely stick into the Z palette. So I do like the individual MAC shadows like this, but they're really difficult to put them into the Z palette. The INGLOT shadows are fine. The INGLOT shadows are like in there, they're not moving, and that's that for that. Price difference, like I said, the Z palette is $25 for the large Pro, and this MAC palette is $16, which I think really isn't a bad price, especially for a MAC palette. I think they're both great palettes. I'd be lying if I said I really liked one better than the other. This is fairly new to me, so I'll let you know, but I think the fact that the top doesn't spin around is going to annoy me a bit. I really like the way the MAC palette looks better than the Z palette. I just do. I think it's sleek and the redesign is really nice. It has this gold here, the Z palette, and MAC is just a simple little white MAC right in the middle, which I think the packaging is much more sleek. Oh, one other thing. They do have the insert that you can put in here, so if you don't want your shadows just individually flying around like that, they do have the original insert that you can put the individual pans in and keep them separated. But it depends on what you like. That's it. That's my quick review, my little comparison between Z palette and the new MAC palette. In the end, it's really going to be your choice and which palette you like better. I think they're both great palettes. I have a couple of these Z palettes which I love, and now I have this MAC palette, which I love them all, and I'm a makeup lover in general. If you have any questions, please comment below. Like the video if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see future videos from me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!